I was totally blindsided right outside the lame campus bookstore, instantly grabbed from behind in a seriously lightning-fast move that totally slammed the oxygen straight out of my lungs before I could even totally gasp for air or even scream a single loud warning sound for help. A rough, coarse sack was instantly yanked down hard right over my entire head, plunging me into immediate, total, absolute darkness that instantly felt heavier and more crushing than a massive physical weight I couldn't totally shake off. The last thing I immediately heard was the loud, faint screech of seriously burning tires as I was immediately shoved roughly into the back of a total janky van that instantly smelled overwhelmingly of stale cigarettes and seriously old dirt. Was anyone watching when they snatched me? I woke up suddenly with a massive pounding headache, immediately realizing I was totally bound tightly right at my ankles and my wrists with massively thick duct tape that seriously chafed my skin every time I tried to immediately move or even struggle. All the while, my eyes were still totally covered by the suffocating, dark sack that immediately made the heavy, stuffy air seriously thick and totally hard to suck down. The whole joint immediately smelled heavily of damp concrete, seriously old, massive dust, and a faint, subtle, metallic tang that instantly told my brain I was totally stuck right inside some kind of massive, abandoned warehouse, or maybe even a seriously sketchy basement. I totally tried to immediately yell for help, but the tape immediately muffled my desperate cry. Was there anyone else around in this huge, empty place? Then, the total, massive silence was suddenly, totally shattered by the sound of huge, heavy footsteps immediately echoing right across the concrete floor nearby. The sound instantly booming in the total, crushing darkness that immediately surrounded me, instantly stopping just a few tiny feet away from where I was totally stuck and seriously frozen stiff. My heart immediately started seriously hammering a massive, loud salsa beat against my aching rib cage as the heavy footsteps totally circled me once, slow and deliberate, instantly making my stomach totally drop right to my knees with total raw dread and immediate sharp panic. I could totally smell a strange, sharp cologne now, mixed with seriously stale, old cigarette smoke. Was he just staring at me right now? Suddenly, the rough, coarse sack was instantly yanked off my entire head with a sudden, painful rip, instantly flooding my eyes with the bright, shocking glare of a single bare bulb hanging right above me, making me immediately squint hard
against the sudden, shocking brightness that immediately made my eyes seriously water and burn. Standing right above me was a seriously massive dude with eyes that were totally cold and utterly dead, wearing totally clean clothes that seriously clashed with the entire nasty vibe of the rest of the sketchy room, holding a small, totally charged burner phone right up to his totally clean ear with a total vicious smirk on his nasty face. Did he seriously know my dad personally from the start?
He instantly spoke in a totally smooth and chilling voice, instantly calling me by my full name and asking me in a very specific, low tone if my rich father would totally fight for me, totally knowing that my entire immediate safety totally depended on how he totally played his entire answer to my captor's sick game. He immediately unveiled a massive, terrifying chessboard right in front of my chair, telling me that the whole game was now totally on, and that my entire fate totally rested on my ability to immediately think straight and totally follow his lame rules exactly. I immediately looked at the huge, dark metal door at the back of the room. Was he actually planning on playing a game of chess with me right now? I instantly saw a huge, totally old-school tube TV that was immediately bolted right into the damp concrete wall. The screen instantly displaying only a single, massive digital clock that was loudly ticking away the slow, painful seconds, reminding me that my entire life was now totally measured in massive, agonizing increments of time. The captor immediately pointed a long, thin finger right at the massive digital clock on the cold concrete wall, and as my entire eyes immediately focused on the blinking screen, the huge digital numbers instantly flickered and immediately changed to display a seriously sharp, specific countdown. The massive digital display now totally flashed a severely ominous bright red countdown. Could the clock be wrong about the time? The clock instantly started right at 19:23:59:59, instantly signifying that I had exactly 20 days left in this total, massive hellhole before the whole game ended in a final, massive explosion of some kind, a total, final deadline that instantly made the blood totally drain right out of my pale face with pure, raw terror and utter despair. The captor immediately smiled, his chilling grin totally splitting his face wide open, telling me in a very specific, vicious tone that the final move was all totally up to my old man, and that my entire survival totally depended on my father's ability to totally play the game exactly right under extreme, total pressure. I immediately tried to yell for my father, but only a small, weak whimper came out. What would happen when the clock hit 0? I immediately realized that his entire game wasn't totally about the massive, huge crypto bag or any kind of lame, simple financial gain at all. His whole gnarly goal was pure, total psychological domination, instantly tearing my entire life and my whole family's legacy completely apart, piece by messy piece, totally enjoying every single moment of our shared raw terror and complete humiliation. He wanted to totally destroy my massively rich and totally powerful father, Elias, by immediately using me as the single key to immediately unlock his absolute total shame and his complete ruin, making the whole situation seriously twisted and totally personal now. Who had my father totally screwed over to deserve this kind of revenge? The man immediately stood up and totally walked away, moving toward a huge, dark metal door at the very back of the room. His voice totally booming in the small space, telling me he had to immediately check on my old man and the status of his first lame task, leaving me totally alone with only the loud, relentless ticking of the massive digital clock and the cold, terrifying silence. He was deliberately leaving me totally unwatched and totally unattended, a seriously sketchy move that instantly felt like the single first test of his entire sick game, to see if I would totally obey the simple rules of my captivity. I had to instantly break free before he immediately came back and totally caught me trying to immediately escape. Was this his first twisted test of the game? I immediately started desperately straining against the massively thick duct tape that was tightly binding my entire wrists to the wooden chair, totally ignoring the sharp, stinging pain that instantly ripped through my entire forearms with every single pull and desperate yank, totally focused only on the terrifying, high-stakes countdown clock that was silently flashing my impending, ugly doom right there on the cold concrete wall in bright, angry red numbers. I had to instantly break free before the captor immediately came back and totally caught me trying to immediately escape. Knowing that the punishment for any kind of rebellion would be seriously swift and absolutely vicious now that I was totally unarmed and utterly helpless. The tape was starting to chafe through the top layer of my skin. Could I rip the tape before he returned? Suddenly, I heard the faint, distant sound of a massive, heavy truck totally rumbling right outside the entire building. The loud, intense vibration instantly shaking the entire concrete foundation and instantly ratting the flimsy metal door at the very back of the room, instantly making the relentless ticking of the countdown clock sound totally faint and severely muffled for a single fleeting second of massive, needed relief. The noise instantly stopped the man right in his entire tracks, right before he could totally open the massive, dark metal door and instantly leave the entire room, making him immediately turn around and instantly glare right at my totally frozen figure with a new, sharp intensity. The truck was totally loud and definitely slow. Was the truck a trap, or was it a sign of help? He instantly pulled out his totally charged burner phone, instantly tapping out a seriously cryptic, coded text message with a sudden, sharp urgency that immediately belied his previous total calmness, signaling that the massive, loud truck was totally an unforeseen variable and a major threat to his entire detailed plan, forcing him to immediately shift his entire focus from my total torment to the huge external danger outside his heavy metal door. I instantly strained my entire ears to totally hear the sound of the truck's engine revving again, hoping it was totally someone random who would immediately call the lame cops after immediately spotting his seriously sketchy van right outside the entire warehouse. Was the truck driver totally a friend or an enemy of the kidnapper? The captor instantly sprinted toward a small, narrow window that was totally high up near the ceiling, immediately scaling the damp, cold concrete wall with seriously surprising speed and massive, frightening agility for such a huge, massive dude, instantly cracking open the small, single pane of glass, just a tiny sliver, to immediately peer down at the whole massive, loud truck that was rumbling right outside the building. I immediately saw his entire body totally tense up with a total sudden recognition mixed with pure hot rage right before he immediately slammed the small window shut with a massive loud bang that instantly echoed through the entire empty joint. He knew the driver. Was the driver the single key to my father's crypto secrets? He instantly slid down the wall, his eyes immediately snapping back to my totally frozen figure right there on the hard, cold floor. His voice now severely laced with a totally new, chilling viciousness that was totally deeper and seriously more intense than anything I had totally heard from him before, telling me in a very specific low tone that he had totally miscalculated just how utterly greedy and seriously disloyal some people could truly be in this whack world. He immediately grabbed the large, coarse sack that he had previously removed from my entire head, instantly advancing right on me with a sudden, sharp urgency that instantly made me totally cringe and completely cover my face with my tightly bound wrists. Was he totally getting ready to hurt me right now? I immediately screamed a tiny, choked sound as the massive, heavy sack instantly slammed back down over my entire head and face, plunging me back into immediate, total, crushing darkness that instantly felt absolute and total terror. The sharp, stale smell of the coarse burlap sack immediately filling my entire nostrils and totally choking my entire breath with total, overwhelming panic, making the relentless ticking of the massive digital clock the very last thing I immediately heard before the final darkness instantly consumed my entire mind and my entire soul. I knew that this sudden, rough darkness was the official, final sign that the entire game had just instantly changed and that my captor's rage had totally spiked. What was the truck driver going to do now that he had been seen? I immediately focused all my seriously shaky energy on trying to totally hear any tiny sound right through the thick, coarse burlap that was totally smothering my entire head, desperately trying to instantly figure out what the kidnapper was totally doing now that the truck guy had totally rattled his entire sick plan and totally revealed some kind of massive betrayal or massive new danger to him. I could totally hear his huge, heavy footsteps immediately pacing the cold, concrete floor nearby, totally pounding a massive, chaotic rhythm of sheer, total panic and raw, seething rage that instantly felt way more terrifying than his cold, calculated calmness ever could. The pacing suddenly stopped right behind my chair. Was he going to immediately hurt me now? A sudden, sharp pain instantly exploded right across the sensitive skin of my entire neck as he immediately yanked the massively thick duct tape tighter around my already severely chafed wrists, instantly cutting off the entire remaining blood flow to my tingling hands and making my whole arms instantly throb with a severe, new intensity of total, sharp agony. He immediately whispered a vile, hateful curse right into the heavy burlap sack that was totally muffling my entire head, his hot, fast breath smelling severely of cold coffee and total, utter frustration, telling me in a very specific, low tone that this sudden, massive pain was the only single thing that totally reminded him of his entire worth in this whack world. I immediately tried to yell out in total sheer pain, but only a small, weak whimper came out. Was he getting ready to totally leave the room? The captor immediately left the entire room with a massive, loud bang of the heavy, dark metal door, instantly plunging the whole space into a totally deafening silence that was only totally broken by the relentless, slow ticking of the massive digital countdown clock and the fast, shaky sound of my own ragged, desperate breathing right inside the confines of the massive sack. I immediately slumped forward right onto the cold, hard concrete floor, totally resting my whole weight on my tightly bound wrists, praying the sheer pressure would immediately snap the thick, strong duct tape and totally free me from the wooden chair and the total darkness. The tape instantly cut deeper into my skin and my entire flesh. Was he totally gone for good, or was this a trap? I instantly started desperately rocking the heavy wooden chair back and forth with all my severely shaky might, violently slamming the entire chair against the hard concrete floor with a sudden, massive, loud thud that instantly echoed massively throughout the empty joint, totally focused only on the single, tiny hope that the constant, massive impact would instantly loosen the badly placed tape or even immediately shatter the flimsy chair into tiny pieces. My entire head instantly slammed against the wall during one massive, violent rock, instantly splitting the entire skin right above my right temple and sending a massive, sharp jolt of pure pain right through my whole skull. The chair creaked, but totally held strong. Would this rocking instantly break my neck first? The massive, noisy rocking instantly triggered an unexpected automatic response right from the huge, dark tube TV that was immediately bolted to the wall, causing the screen to instantly flicker and display a single, loud, flashing warning message right through the thick, coarse burlap sack, instantly accompanied by a seriously shrill and extremely loud, relentless siren sound that totally pierced my entire eardrums with a painful, constant intensity. The warning was totally screaming in large, bright, flashing red letters. Restraints detected. Contacting authority. Termination protocol initiated in T-minus 60 seconds. The siren instantly stopped the rocking. What exactly was the termination protocol? I immediately froze solid. Every single muscle in my entire body instantly locking up with sudden, total, paralyzing terror right there on the cold, hard floor, listening to the new, terrifying, very fast countdown clock that was loudly ticking right down from 60 seconds. The sheer, utter panic instantly making my entire heart severely pound right out of my entire chest like a massive, frantic drum that was about to totally explode. I instantly knew this was totally a total trap. A seriously vicious mechanism designed only to completely break my entire will and totally force me into immediate, utter compliance with his lame rules of the entire sick game. Not an actual real threat to immediately end my entire life. But the sheer fear was seriously real. Should I totally risk moving again? The fast, intense countdown instantly hit T15 seconds, and the seriously shrill siren sound suddenly instantly stopped, instantly replaced by a very specific, recorded message from my own father, Elias, his voice sounding totally distorted and extremely shaky as he immediately pleaded desperately for someone to instantly help his entire family and find his only daughter. A sound that instantly ripped through my entire soul and caused a massive fresh wave of severe, sharp pain and utter despair right through my entire guts. I instantly screamed my father's full name right into the thick, coarse burlap sack, totally begging him desperately to totally run and instantly forget all about me,
knowing that the captor was totally using my own dad's voice to totally break me and totally shatter my last tiny will to totally fight. Was my dad being totally forced to record that message? As the entire clock instantly hit T0 seconds, a sudden, severe blast of extremely cold air instantly shot right into the entire back of my neck from a small, hidden vent right near the ceiling, instantly snapping me totally out of my sheer, massive panic and my immediate dark despair. The icy, shocking temperature instantly sobering my entire racing mind and giving me a massive, sharp jolt of total, needed clarity. I immediately realized that the game wasn't totally about death or about final termination at all. It was totally about maximizing my total, complete discomfort and constantly keeping me totally off balance and utterly terrified by controlling the entire basic environment around me. The massive, cold air instantly froze my entire face. What environmental factor would he control next? I immediately started shivering uncontrollably, the intense, sudden cold instantly making my entire body severely ache with a deep, total misery that instantly seemed endless. My severely clammy hands instantly numb and totally useless inside the tight confines of the duct tape restraints that were instantly digging deeper into my severely swollen wrists with every single movement I immediately made. I had to totally focus all my severely shaky energy on the one single, tiny thing I could totally control right now, my entire breathing and the single, slow pace of my frantic heartbeat, trying to instantly sink into a deep, total state of meditative calmness that would immediately hide my entire fear from the captor. I started mentally counting the slow, steady ticks of the main countdown clock. Would focusing on the clock help me survive?
Suddenly, the cold, stale air right inside the sack instantly shifted, instantly replaced by a massive, overwhelming stench of seriously rotting meat and severely sour milk that instantly made my entire stomach seriously lurch and totally threaten to immediately empty its entire contents right there onto the cold concrete floor. The sudden, overwhelming smell instantly confirming that the man was totally testing my entire severe limits of total disgust and utter endurance by controlling the entire vents. I immediately stuffed the coarse, nasty burlap sack right into my entire mouth, totally gagging on the dusty fabric and the foul, disgusting smell, as I instantly fought hard to totally hold down the sudden, massive nausea that instantly threatened to totally overwhelm my entire body and my entire will. Was the food he left out rotting? I instantly realized that this seriously smelly torment was totally connected to the whole entire chessboard game he had immediately set up earlier, instantly knowing that every single action my wealthy father, Elias, made right now in the terrifying, high-stakes outside world immediately translated directly into a specific, total punishment
or a tiny, temporary reward right here in my severely cold, concrete prison. I was totally the single key and the immediate target in his entire elaborate scheme to instantly destroy my father's entire legacy and totally shatter his massive financial empire, instantly using my entire suffering as the single final weapon in his total revenge plot. What massive mistake had my dad totally made to instantly trigger the stench?
The horrible, disgusting stench immediately persisted for another whole, terrifying hour before the massive, cold air instantly shifted back again, instantly replacing the foul, massive stench with a new, overwhelming smell of seriously sweet and intensely cloying perfume that instantly stung my entire nostrils and immediately brought on another huge, intense wave of totally overwhelming nausea that instantly made my entire head throb with severe, sharp pain. I immediately recalled that seriously sweet, heavy perfume instantly. It was the exact same cheap, nasty brand that my father's previous, lame executive assistant, Lana, used to totally douse herself in right before she totally skipped town 2 years ago after skimming major funds. Could the kidnapper actually be Lana herself? A sudden, sharp click instantly echoed right through the cold concrete room, instantly followed by the high-pitched, loud whine of the dark, heavy metal door at the very back of the joint immediately sliding wide open, instantly snapping my entire head up in total sheer panic as I immediately realized the man was finally back, and he was totally not alone, judging by the sound of 2 huge, heavy pairs of footsteps immediately pounding across the dusty floor toward my chair. I instantly heard a severely low and extremely vicious voice, totally different from my captor's usual chilling smoothness, giving very specific, sharp orders to the first man, telling him to immediately lock down the entire perimeter and total isolate all outside access. The game had just totally escalated. Who was the second man, and why was he giving orders now? I immediately braced myself for the terrifying, inevitable impact, knowing that I was about to immediately face a new, more terrifying level of sheer, raw violence and utter despair, now that the captor was totally backed up by a second, huge, powerful man who seemed even more seriously vicious and utterly in charge than the first guy, signaling that the entire sick game was totally closing in on me, and that my time was immediately running out completely. I instantly heard the sharp, loud rip of severely strong duct tape right near my severely chafed ankles,
instantly freeing my severely swollen feet from the massive, tight restraints, instantly followed by the chilling, cold touch of a seriously sharp blade being immediately pressed right against the fragile, soft skin of my neck. Was this the final move in the game? The sudden, chilling press of the seriously cold steel blade right against the fragile, soft skin of my neck instantly sent a massive, sharp jolt of pure, icy terror right through my entire spine, instantly snapping me totally out of my sheer chaotic panic and back into total, sharp, absolute focus on the immediate, immense danger I was totally facing right now. I immediately heard the second man's intensely low and extremely vicious voice right beside me, totally growling in a very specific low tone that he was the real boss of the whole sick operation, and that the single blade was his final firm answer to my father's entire game of total delay and sheer frustrating disrespect. I instantly tried to yell for my father, but only a small, weak gasp escaped. Was the blade actually cutting my skin right now?
The second man, who instantly sounded way more uptight and seriously official than the first guy, immediately demanded to know if I was totally aware of my father's previous massive mistake with the entire crypto transfer, telling me in a very specific, low tone that my entire life now totally hung in the immediate, severe balance because my dad was totally trying to immediately lowball the entire ransom with a seriously lame and obviously fake coin that was totally worthless. My heart instantly sank right to my knees as I totally realized my father's clever single move to save his money was now immediately costing me my entire sanity and probably my entire life, instantly confirming that this whole situation was not just a total kidnapping, but a massive, organized revenge plot. I instantly felt a huge, sudden wave of total despair washing over me. How could my dad be so clueless about this guy? The first captor immediately yanked the heavy, dark burlap sack off my entire head again, instantly snatching me back into the horrifying visual reality of the cold, concrete room and the menacing two-man crew that was standing right above me, instantly making me immediately squint hard against the single bare bulb that was angrily glaring right down at my face, my eyes instantly darting between the dangerously close blade and the massive, angry figures that were towering over my chair. The second man's face was totally unfamiliar to me, totally clean and seriously professional, wearing a sharp, expensive suit that severely clashed with the entire filthy vibe of the entire warehouse joint, instantly signaling that he was seriously smart and totally vicious with total, massive power. This whole situation was way more organized than I thought. Was he a former business partner of my father's? The new boss immediately grabbed the massive, terrifying chessboard right off the small table, instantly clearing the entire board with a single, massive, loud sweep of his sharp, tailored sleeve, sending all the heavy, wooden pieces instantly scattering and loudly clattering right across the entire concrete floor, telling me in a very specific, cold tone that the slow, lame game of chess was totally over, and that the whole thing was now instantly entering the seriously rough final stage of total raw negotiation. He immediately pulled out a small, shiny syringe from his suit's inner pocket, instantly holding the needle right up to the single bare bulb to totally watch the viscous, dark fluid instantly shimmer in the shocking light, telling me that my father had only 2 more hours to totally fix his massive mistake. What was the vicious fluid inside the syringe? I instantly started wildly thrashing against the severe, tight restraints of the duct cape that was tightly binding my severely swollen wrists to the wooden chair, totally ignoring the sharp, stabbing pain that instantly ripped through my entire forearms with every single yank, screaming a loud, desperate warning at my father's face right through the massive, ugly TV screen that was suddenly flashing my frantic, terrifying image right onto the wall. The first captor immediately slapped me hard right across my entire face with a loud, massive crack that instantly echoed through the entire empty joint, instantly snapping my entire head back with severe, sudden force, leaving a massive, angry sting and a sharp, metallic taste of blood right there in my entire mouth. I immediately closed my eyes. Would the second man inject me right now? The new boss immediately gestured toward the massive digital countdown clock that was silently flashing its angry red numbers on the wall, telling me in a very specific, calm tone that every single second I was totally still in this small, filthy room totally cost my massive, wealthy father an immense, crippling amount of money and massive shares in his entire company, instantly confirming that the actual final ransom wasn't totally about the crypto money at all, but about immediately forcing my dad to totally bankrupt his entire empire for the sheer sake of total, absolute revenge. I instantly realized that the final price of my entire freedom would be my father's total financial and personal ruin, instantly leaving him with absolutely nothing. Could my dad survive losing everything twice? The new boss immediately grabbed the small, dark burner phone, instantly placing the cold, hard device right against my severely swollen ear, forcing me to immediately listen to the loud, severe demands he was instantly making to my father right now, telling my dad in a very specific, vicious tone that my entire condition would immediately worsen every single hour he totally delayed the transfer of his major shares and total assets to an unknown, severely sketchy third party. I could immediately hear my father's severely shaky and totally distorted voice on the other end of the line, immediately pleading desperately with the man to totally stop and totally spare my entire life, instantly offering him totally unlimited funds right now. Was my dad telling the truth about the funds? The second man immediately ripped the small, charged burner phone away from my severely swollen ear, instantly turning the device off and totally tossing the small black device right onto the dusty concrete floor with a massive, loud clatter, immediately signaling that the terrifying communication with my father was instantly cut off for the entire immediate future, instantly plunging the room into a total, severe silence that was only totally broken by my own ragged, desperate breathing and the relentless, loud ticking of the massive digital clock. He immediately ordered the first captor to totally prepare the small, heavy syringe for immediate use, telling him to immediately turn the massive, ugly TV screen right back on to show my final face to the world. I instantly closed my eyes. What kind of drug was actually inside that needle? I immediately heard the sharp, terrifying click of the small, shiny syringe being instantly primed right beside my severely swollen face, instantly followed by the chilling, cold touch of the needle's small, sharp point being immediately pressed right against the fragile, soft skin of my entire arm, instantly sending a massive, sharp jolt of pure, raw terror right through my entire body that instantly made me involuntarily gasp and severely cringe away from the needle's sudden touch. The second man immediately leaned in close to my entire ear, whispering a vile, hateful curse and a terrifying threat that this painful injection was only a seriously small taste of the immense pain that was immediately coming to me next if my father totally failed to instantly comply with his entire complex demands in the next hour. I squeezed my eyes tightly shut. Was this the drug that was going to break my sanity? A sudden, severe burning sensation instantly ripped through my entire arm as the heavy, viscous fluid immediately pushed its entire way right under my fragile, soft skin, instantly snapping my entire eyes wide open with a sharp, massive shock of pure, intense agony and massive, total confusion. instantly followed by a sudden, intense wave of dizziness and massive total nausea that instantly made the entire filthy room start violently spinning right around my entire head. The second man immediately yanked the small, sharp needle right out of my arm, instantly stepping back to admire his entire handiwork with a chilling, total lack of any single human empathy or total concern, watching my entire body immediately slump further forward in the wooden chair. I instantly tried to scream again, but the entire sound only came out as a strangled gurgle. What did he just inject into me? The total, massive spinning instantly intensified, instantly followed by a sudden severe ringing that immediately started loudly screaming right inside my entire ears, instantly muffling the relentless, loud ticking of the massive digital clock and the heavy, sharp sounds of the two men immediately pacing the dusty concrete floor nearby, making me immediately lose total, clear track of where I was, totally stuck, and how long I had totally been awake right here in this massive, empty hellhole. I instantly felt my severely heavy eyelids immediately fluttering hard, totally fighting desperately against the sudden, overwhelming need to immediately sink into a deep, dark, total sleep that was instantly pulling me completely under and totally claiming my entire mind and my entire soul. I knew that if I slept, I would lose the entire game. Could I fight off the drug? I instantly focused all my severely shaky energy on the single, massive, angry sting right there on my severely swollen cheek where the first man had previously slapped me, instantly using the sharp, stinging pain as the single, final anchor to totally hold me right there in the entire, horrifying reality of the dusty, concrete room and the menacing, dangerous figures of the two men that were now totally looming right over my chair. I immediately bit down severely hard right onto my own entire tongue, totally ignoring the sharp, stabbing pain that instantly flooded my entire mouth with a massive, metallic taste of warm, fresh blood, totally focused only on the single tiny hope that the severe, sharp pain would instantly override the powerful, deadly drug that was instantly trying to totally claim my entire mind. My head immediately lolled forward heavily. Was the drug totally winning the entire battle? The two men immediately started severely whispering to each other nearby, their voices sounding totally low and completely distorted to my severely dizzy and rapidly failing ears, making it utterly impossible for me to immediately understand any single clear word of their conversation, instantly confirming that they were deliberately making sure I couldn't totally eavesdrop or totally gather any single secret information that could totally help my father or totally save my entire life right now. I immediately felt my consciousness totally slipping away completely, instantly fading out into a deep, dark, total void that instantly felt warm and seriously inviting after the massive, sheer terror and total pain I had totally endured for the last hour. I instantly felt my entire body slump further. Was this my final moment before total darkness? I immediately fought back against the powerful, deadly drug with one final, desperate surge of pure, white-hot will and fierce, absolute determination, instantly screaming a silent, desperate vow right inside my entire rapidly failing mind that I would absolutely not instantly surrender to the dark, massive sleep, and that I would totally fight this total madness until the very last final second of the entire high-stakes game. I forced my severely heavy eyes open one final time, seeing the massive digital clock silently flashing 19:22:15:02 in bright, angry red, instantly realizing that the terrifying countdown was finally the last thing I would ever totally see before I finally sank fully under. The loud, intense ringing immediately crashed into total, complete silence as my entire world suddenly went out.